We talk a lot in the homeschooling world about how grade levels don't matter. We don't worry about what grade our kids are in. We teach to where they are. But when it comes to choosing curriculum, what does that mean? Isn't most curriculum labeled as being for a certain grade? If that's true, then how are you supposed to tell which level of which curriculum is going to work for your child? We're going to talk today about three different ways that you can figure out where to place your child in a curriculum once you have chosen it. It will often be the case that programs are delineated by grade, even though homeschoolers don't typically follow grade levels. So that will kind of give you a general starting point. But if you know that your child is really far behind that, that's where it can get a little dicey trying to figure out where to place them. Well, the first thing that you can do is when you're looking at curriculum, look and see if they have a placement test. They will give you a test that you can download and give to your child to help determine where in their program your child would lie. So, for example, if it's a math program, it's very common with math programs, your child would take the test, and after they're done, the scoring instructions are going to tell you how you will determine, based on how your child did on that test, where they would go. Sometimes they'll say, hey, if they got the first 20 problems right, then you're going to put them into this program. If they got the first 30 problems right, you'll put them into this program. If they struggled here, but they were solid over here, then they need this program. They'll explain to you how that test is actually going to translate to their program. The second way that you can figure out where to place your child in a program is to see if the curriculum has any kind of scope and sequence. So, a scope and sequence is an explanation of all the different topics and lessons. What are all the various concepts that are going to be covered in this program? And then the sequence tells you the order in which they are going to tell those things. If you can access that, then you can take a look and say, okay, well, I know that last year in math, for example, my child learned about this and this and this and this and this. Okay, it looks like, gosh, they've already done a lot of this program. So maybe we're not going to need this so much. Looks like we'll probably go up a level. Now, if you're looking at the scope and sequence and you're not sure, gosh, what did my kid do last year? Maybe they didn't typically bring home their homework in that particular grade. Maybe they always got it finished at school. Then you can actually go back to the school and say, hey, what was the program that you used in third grade last year for social studies, whatever subject? And you can go and look up that program, or you could even say, hey, how can I get a scope and sequence for this particular program in this particular grade? Then you'll be able to look and see, what was it that my child actually learned last year in this program? What was actually covered, so that when I am looking at other programs, I know, okay, well, this stuff we're already good with. We need to go up to the next level. Or alternately, okay, my child really struggled with this. I know that even though they finished the whole year, they did not understand most of it. So this is what we need to cover again. We do want to cover this information. So we're going to go find a program that covers this same type of stuff, and we'll do it again at home. Now, let's say you have fallen in love with a curriculum, but there's no placement test and there's no way to see what the whole scope and sequence of the program is to help you figure out if this is the right level for your child. Well, the logical thing would be that you've got to figure out how to look at that curriculum. Now, there are two different ways that you can do that. The first would be, if you have a homeschool bookstore in your area, you can go down there, see if they carry that program, and you can look through it right there. That is one of the best ways to figure out if a curriculum is going to work for you or not. Now, if you don't have a bookstore that you can go to, then try looking on Facebook to see if there is a group for that particular curriculum. A lot of times, curriculums have Facebook groups where you can go in and ask questions about how to use it or where to place your child in the program. And you can ask parents, hey, my child last year was in fourth grade and they were learning X, Y, and Z, and they really struggled. I really need to make sure that the program we do this year is going to cover that. Which level of this program would you recommend? Because I haven't been able to see it on the website very well. Now, they're probably going to recommend that you contact customer service. Hopefully that was the very first thing that you did before you even decided that you wanted to look at this curriculum. But I know that sometimes we don't like picking up the phone, or we don't like trying to type out into a little chat box what exactly it is that we're trying to figure out. We would rather just go talk to actual people. It is quite often going to be the case that customer service will be able to help you. They want you to buy their program and they want you to be happy with it. So they are definitely going to help you figure out where in their program your child should be placed. But sometimes you just want to be able to talk to parents and find out, Did this really work for your child? Did you get them in the right placement? Is there anything you would recommend as I'm trying to figure out where to place my child in this program? Now, even with all our best intentions and our best attempts to make sure we get our child in the right place, unfortunately, we are still sometimes going to find once we start working them with the curriculum that, oh, no, this was not the right level for my child. So, what do you do with your curriculum then? Well, couple of options. If you bought it new from the company, you can always contact them and tell them what's going on. See if they have any way that they can maybe trade out the curriculum for you. If there's any way that you can return at least the pieces that you haven't used, maybe to get some kind of a refund or an exchange. Or you can bundle everything up, go on one of those Facebook groups and say, hey, we tried this. The first two lessons have my child's writing all over them. You can probably recreate those pages yourself if you need to, but the rest of this program we're not going to use. Who wants to buy it? The used homeschool curriculum market is huge, and it's also a great way to save a little money when you're not 100% sure that what you're purchasing is really going to work. If this is the first time you've ever purchased this particular curriculum, sometimes getting it used is a better idea because if you end up not wanting to use it, you haven't spent quite as much money. Now, there are some curriculums that are not leveled by grade. I'm thinking particularly of Matthew C, which actually labels all of their levels by the Greek alphabet. So you start with alpha, then you go to beta, then you go to gamma, then I think you go to delta. And there are some programs that will level by age groups. So for example, it might say ages 8 to 10. And that can be very handy if you are trying to teach multiple children with the same curriculum. You'll typically find this in programs like science and history, things that are not as skill based, but are more about maturity level, because that way you're able to teach multiple kids the same material and just kind of differentiate for each of their particular interest or ability levels in terms of the assignments that you give them. There are also programs, I'm thinking, for example, like Apologia. They have science programs for the elementary level that have two different kinds of workbooks. And you purchase the workbook based on the age of your child. And then the textbook is the same for all the levels. You just skip certain sections if your child is a little too young for them. So it really is just going to depend on the particular company that you've chosen to go with, whether you need to really worry about placement at a specific level, or if you can be a little less specific and think more about maturity level or age range. I hope you'll like and subscribe if you found this useful, and make sure you check out my ultimate guide to curriculum playlist that is filled with information and advice to help you pick the right curriculum for your family.